Move, cripple. Bullies kicked a disabled girl at Santa Monica Pier, then a sea of bikers surrounded. It was supposed to be a perfect summer day at the Santa Monica Pier. The sun was shining, the ocean breeze was gentle, and 10-year-old Emma was finally living out her dream of visiting the famous California landmark. But in one horrible moment, everything changed. A group of teenage boys spotted her wheelchair, and what happened next was so cruel, so heartless, that nearby tourists couldn't believe their eyes. They kicked her chair. They mocked her disability. They laughed as this little girl's face crumpled in fear and humiliation. But those bullies had no idea what was about to happen, because rolling into the parking lot at that very moment was something they never expected. A thunder of motorcycle engines, dozens of leather-clad bikers, their bikes gleaming in the California sun. And when they saw what was happening to Emma, everything changed. What happened next restored faith in humanity and proved that kindness can arrive in the most unexpected forms. Subscribe prompt before we continue with Emma's incredible story. If you believe in the power of kindness and want to see more heartwarming moments like this, please hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell for heartfelt moments. Drop a comment below telling us about a time someone stood up for you. And don't forget to like this video. Now let's get back to what happened on that unforgettable day at Santa Monica Pier. History. Emma Rodriguez had been counting down the days to this trip for months. Born with cerebral palsy, she spent most of her life in a wheelchair, but that never dimmed her spirit or her dreams. Her parents had saved up to take her from their small town in Arizona to Los Angeles, and the Santa Monica Pier was at the top of her list. She wanted to ride the Ferris wheel, eat cotton candy, and feel the ocean mist on her face. The morning started beautifully. Emma's eyes sparkled as she took in the colorful carousel, the arcade games, and the street performers. Her mom pushed her wheelchair along the wooden planks of the pier while her dad walked beside them, capturing every smile on his phone. For a few precious hours, Emma felt like any other kid on summer vacation, and her parents' hearts swelled watching their daughter so happy. But around noon, as they were heading toward the snack stands, a group of 5 teenage boys, probably 16 or 17 years old, came swaggering down the pier. They were loud, showing off for each other that particular kind of teenage bravado that sometimes turns ugly. When they spotted Emma in her wheelchair, something dark flickered across their faces. "Move, cripple," one of them shouted, deliberately walking into the path of her wheelchair. Emma's mother tried to steer around them, her face tight with protective anger, but the boys circled closer. Another one kicked the footrest of Emma's chair, making it jolt backward. Emma let out a small cry of fear. "What's wrong? Can't walk away?" Another boy taunted, and they all laughed, that cruel laughter that cuts deeper than any physical wound. Emma's father stepped forward, his voice shaking with rage, telling them to back off. But they were surrounded, and the boys were bigger, younger, more numerous. Other tourists watched uncomfortably but kept walking, unsure how to help, afraid to get involved. Emma started crying, not just tears, but the kind of deep, wounded sobs that come from feeling helpless and humiliated in front of everyone. Her mother wrapped her arms around her daughter, whispering that it would be okay, but her own voice was breaking. Emma's dad pulled out his phone, threatening to call the police, but the boys just laughed harder. One of them made a mocking gesture, pretending to be in a wheelchair, and the others howled with laughter. And that's when the sound started, low at first, then building. The deep, rumbling thunder of motorcycle engines. Lots of them. The parking lot adjacent to the pier was suddenly filled with bikers. Not just a few, but dozens. They were part of a charity motorcycle club called Guardians of the Road, and they'd just finished a fundraising ride for children's hospitals. Their leather vests were decorated with patches. Their bikes were massive and chrome-covered, and to the teenage bullies, they probably looked terrifying. The lead biker, a man named Marcus, who stood about 6'4" with a gray beard and arms covered in tattoos, had parked his bike, and was walking toward the pier when he heard Emma crying. He turned to his fellow riders and said just 2 words, "Follow me." What happened next was something Emma would remember for the rest of her life. 47 bikers walked onto that pier in formation, their boots thundering on the wooden planks. They didn't run. They didn't shout. They just walked, steady and purposeful, straight toward where Emma and her family were surrounded. The teenage bullies' laughter died in their throats. They suddenly looked very young and very scared as this wall of bikers formed a protective circle around Emma's family. Marcus stepped forward, his voice calm but carrying a weight that made everyone listen. "I think you boys need to apologize to this young lady," he said. It wasn't a suggestion. The bullies stammered, suddenly trying to act like it had all been a joke. But Marcus wasn't having it. "We don't tolerate people picking on kids, especially not brave kids like this one. So you're going to apologize, and then you're going to leave, and we're going to think real hard about the kind of men you want to become." One by one, shamefaced and terrified, the boys mumbled apologies to Emma. Then they scattered, practically running off the pier. The gathered crowd of tourists actually burst into applause. But the bikers weren't done. Marcus knelt down beside Emma's wheelchair, his tough exterior melting into the gentlest smile. "Hi there, sweetheart. I'm Marcus. Are you okay?" Emma nodded, wiping her tears, still overwhelmed by everything that had just happened. "You know what?" Marcus said. "We were just about to get some ice cream to celebrate our ride. Would you and your family like to join us?" Emma's face transformed, a smile breaking through like sunshine after a storm. For the next 2 hours, Emma was surrounded by her new friends. The bikers bought her ice cream, won her a giant stuffed bear from the arcade, and one of them who had connections even got her to the front of the line for the Ferris wheel. When she rode it, with her parents beside her and 47 bikers waving from below, Emma laughed with pure joy. Before they left, the bikers took a photo with Emma, and Marcus gave her a special patch from their club that read Honorary Guardian. He told her, "You're one of the bravest people I've ever met. Don't let anyone ever make you feel small." Cluse. Emma's story spread across social media that week, shared hundreds of thousands of times. But more than that, it reminded everyone who heard it that kindness often comes from unexpected places. Those bikers, who some people might have judged by their appearance, showed more humanity and courage than the countless adults who walked by without helping. Today, Emma keeps that patch in a frame by her bed, and she remembers that day at Santa Monica Pier, not for the bullies who tried to hurt her, but for the guardian angels on motorcycles who proved that good people still outnumber the bad ones. So the next time you see someone who needs help, remember Emma's story. Be the biker. Be the person who stands up. Be the one who turns someone's worst day into their best memory. Kindness isn't just about being nice. Sometimes it's about being brave enough to do what's right, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard.